Urgent Atlanta Falcons fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here, we bring you daily videos with the latest Atlanta Falcons updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Alright, Falcons fans, today's story is one of those that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's a roller coaster of trades, contracts, surprises, and what this all means for your beloved team. And trust me, you're going to want to stay tuned because what's happening right now in the NFL landscape could have a major impact on the Falcons' future, especially at the quarterback position. So, let's dive right into it. Now, just a year ago, things looked quite different for the Falcons. Back then, they had just made a huge splash in free agency by signing Kirk Cousins to a mammoth deal, $180 million guaranteed, no less. That's a contract that screams this guy is our franchise quarterback, and it seemed like the Falcons were finally set at the most critical position on the field. Kirk Cousins, with his experience, his leadership, and his ability to throw the ball efficiently, was supposed to be their man for years to come. Everyone thought that was the plan. And, honestly, it made sense at the time. You secure a veteran quarterback, and you build your team around him, adding pieces on both sides of the ball, aiming for a playoff run. But, as we all know, in the NFL, nothing is ever set in stone. Sometimes, what seems like a perfect plan can suddenly crumble or change in the blink of an eye. And that's exactly what happened with Cousins and the Falcons. Fast forward to this offseason, and the Falcons found themselves in a very different position. You see, just as the NFL world was still talking about Cousins' huge contract, the Falcons started to look a little differently at their quarterback room. A surprising development occurred. Michael Penix Jr., the young quarterback from Washington, started to make waves. And not just waves, he began to take the starting job away from Cousins entirely. That's right, Penix, who was considered a developmental guy just a year ago, has now become the Falcons' starting quarterback. And this is where things get really interesting. Because now, the Falcons are exploring options to get rid of that hefty $180 million contract, trying to find a way to move Cousins' deal elsewhere. The question is, which team out there is willing to take on that huge contract, especially considering Cousins' age and the fact that he has a no-trade clause? It's not easy. The NFL landscape is shifting, and teams are being more cautious than ever, especially when it comes to big-money veteran contracts. Let's talk about the teams that could be interested. The Steelers are definitely in the conversation. Now, everyone's eyeing Pittsburgh because they're rumored to be in the mix for Aaron Rodgers, but if that deal doesn't go through, the Steelers might turn their attention to Kirk Cousins. Pittsburgh has a solid roster, and they're desperate for a reliable quarterback who can lead them into the postseason. If Rodgers stays in Green Bay or moves elsewhere, Cousins could be the perfect fit, especially given his experience and familiarity with the league. The problem is, for a trade to happen, Cousins or his representatives would have to agree to a move, and that's not always guaranteed, especially if he's comfortable in Minnesota or if he doesn't fancy a move to a team not competing at a high level. Now, here's the twist, another team in the AFC that could be eyeing Cousins if things don't work out with their current options, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, who have been trying to rebuild after losing their franchise quarterback, have one of the league's most uncertain quarterback situations right now. Daniel Jones? Still unproven in Indianapolis, and Anthony Richardson? Still raw, despite his athletic potential. The Colts' quarterback room has been ranked among the league's weakest, and rumors are swirling that they might look to bring in a veteran presence to stabilize the position. That's where Cousins could come in, offering experience, stability, and a chance to start right away. And here's a little context for you. Cousins has made it clear he just wants a shot to be a starting quarterback again. After years of being seen as a reliable but sometimes inconsistent passer, he's craving that opportunity to lead a team, to be the guy under center. And Indianapolis might just be that team. Their current QB room has been described as perhaps the least favored in the league, and that's not a good look for a team with playoff aspirations. If the Colts decide to pull the trigger during training camp or even before the season, Cousins would step right in and immediately bring a wealth of experience to a young, developing group. But, as with everything in the NFL, there are hurdles. Cousins has a no-trade clause, meaning he has a say in where he goes. That could complicate negotiations, especially if he's happy in Minnesota or if the right opportunity doesn't come along. Plus, the Colts will have to evaluate whether they want to commit to such a move, especially considering their draft assets and how they see their future at quarterback. Do they want to roll with Richardson, or are they willing to sacrifice some draft capital to bring in a veteran like Cousins? These are the questions teams are asking right now. Now, let's not forget the big picture here. The Falcons, despite their recent quarterback shakeup, are in a rebuilding phase, but one that's also focused on contending. Having Penix Jr. emerge as the starter is an exciting development. He's got a strong arm, great mobility, and a calmness in the pocket that has impressed many scouts and fans alike. But the Falcons also know that to truly compete in the NFC South and beyond, they need stability at quarterback, and that could mean they revisit the Cousins situation later in the season or next offseason, especially if Penix doesn't develop as hoped or if injuries strike. It's also worth noting that the Falcons' current roster is shaping up nicely. They've added talent on both sides of the ball, draft picks, free agents, and strategic trades, aiming to build a competitive team for the long run. But quarterback remains the key piece. The NFL has shown time and again that having a top-tier quarterback can be the difference between a playoff run and missing out entirely. So, it's no surprise that Atlanta is keeping all options open. As we look ahead, the NFL landscape is constantly shifting, with trades, signings, and rumors swirling every day. The Cousins situation is just one example of how unpredictable this offseason has been. Teams are weighing their options, trying to find that perfect fit, and sometimes, it's a matter of waiting for the right moment. For Falcons fans, it's a mix of hope and anticipation. Will Atlanta look to bring in a veteran like Cousins later on? Or will they stick with Penix and build around him? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, the quarterback market is hot right now, and Atlanta is right in the middle of it. Now, think about the bigger implications. If Cousins does move, it could open the door for some other moves or shakeups in the league. It's all interconnected. And for the Falcons, this means they're in a unique position. They have a young, promising quarterback in Penix, a talented roster, and the flexibility to explore what's best for their future. Whether that's sticking with Penix, signing a veteran, or making a bold trade, it's clear they're not afraid to make moves. And let's take a quick look at what this means historically. Atlanta has been known for their high-powered offenses, especially during the Matt Ryan era, which culminated in that unforgettable Super Bowl run. They've had some struggles since then, but they're always looking to get back into the mix. The quarterback position is crucial for them, as it is for every team. And right now, the NFL market is buzzing with rumors about veteran quarterbacks, young prospects, and potential trades. The Falcons are watching closely, strategizing, and preparing for every possible scenario. To wrap up, what's really fascinating about this whole situation is how it exemplifies the ever-changing nature of NFL roster building. Sometimes, a big contract like Cousins can become a burden if the player doesn't fit the scheme or if a younger, cheaper option emerges. That's exactly what's happening in Atlanta. They signed Cousins thinking he'd be their guy, but now, with Penix stepping up, the dynamic has shifted. The Falcons are now in a position where they can evaluate their options carefully, balancing the short-term needs with their long-term vision. And I'll tell you, watching all of this unfold is what makes following the NFL so exciting. Every offseason is a new chapter, and right now, the Falcons are at a very interesting crossroads. Whether they'll explore a trade for Cousins, stick with Penix, or even look to draft another quarterback down the line, the future is wide open. So, Falcon fans, stay tuned, because the next few months could bring some surprises, and you definitely want to be in the loop for all of it. Remember, the NFL is a league of constant evolution, and the Falcons are no exception. They're building something special, and even if this particular chapter involves some tough decisions, it's all part of their journey back to relevance and glory. So, keep your eyes peeled, stay passionate, and let's see what the future holds for the Atlanta Falcons. Thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive into the latest quarterback drama, and I'll be back soon with even more updates. Until then, Falcons fans, keep the faith, and as always, go Falcons!